Let's unbox the October ScrawlrBox. This month's box was inspired by our featured artist, Erikas Chesonis' love for all things with wings. His style of work is based around using simple shapes in a limited palette, so he's never hindered by realism. Let's take a look at the supplies. Scrawlr sticker, supply menu including prompt, Multimedia Scrawlr pad, a sweet treat, October Scrawlr zine, the artist print, Pentel marker in black, and a set of YONO pastel paint markers by Marabu. To get things started, we're going to need to activate these markers. To activate, give them a good shake, and then pump the nib on a scrap piece of paper until the pigment soaks through to the nib. It's best to keep going until the nib is fully saturated with all that lovely paint inside. Let's do some swatching. Once fully activated, the paint from these pens is super thick, and that can mean they have a tendency to pill on the paper. There are a couple of things you can do to avoid this. Make sure you're working with a gentle hand when applying to the paper and try to colour in small sections. Try to colour in one direction and try not to go back over the paint while it's still wet. Now onto the Pentel permanent marker. Just like the YONO markers, this pen can draw on pretty much anything. It's fairly low odour for a permanent marker, and the ink is water resistant and long lasting, and obviously dries fully permanent. It has a nice thick bullet nib, which is sturdy and an excellent addition to your black marker collection. You can layer your YONO markers on top of this with ease, and vice versa as well, but really make sure that paint is dry, otherwise you'll damage your permanent marker. As these pens activate with water, you can make some fun washes. So grab your paintbrush, a pot of water and a palette. You can work directly on the page, or you can pump the ink out onto a palette first. The more water you add, the lighter your wash. Seeing as we've already got our paint stuff out, let's have a little go at some mixing. Mixing in the white. When mixing colours with these pens, it's easier to get the ink out on a palette first. Pump out as much ink as you please. The more paint you add, the thicker the paint will be. For these swatches, I've added in a decent amount of water to create a wash. But by keeping the white in there, you don't lose as much of the opacity, and this way you get a more delicate version of the pastel colour. You can then layer over the top of these to create more intensity, or you could use these as a background. Now we're going to do the same thing, but with the grey. I've added less water this time to keep the paint thicker. By adding in the grey, you achieve a really nice muted version of the pastel palette. Great for adding in tone variation and also switching up the mood of your piece. The more grey you add, the subtler the colour becomes. You can get some really nice greys this way. As you can see, you can achieve quite a few variations with these colours. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Keep scrolling.